The more you seek silence, the louder your mind becomes. The more you say, "Don't think," the more thoughts multiply. The more you try to control, the more chaos increases. This is a paradox, and most people get lost in this paradox. But what if I told you that the way to silence the voice inside isn't silence? What if what you actually need is rhythm? That voice inside your head. You know it, don't you? That endless internal conversation, from morning to night. I should have done this. I should have said that. What if tomorrow happens? What if I'm not good enough? Why still haven't I figured this out? Constantly, without rest, exhausting. And what do you do to silence this voice? You download a meditation app. You tell yourself, "Be in the now." You say, "Don't think, just breathe." But what happens? The thoughts intensify even more. Because now you're not just thinking, you're also blaming yourself for thinking. Why can't I meditate? Why can't I shut off my mind? How do others do it, but I can't? And this is how the voice inside gets even stronger. Because here's the thing. Trying to stop the voice in your head isn't stopping it, it's giving it more energy. Resistance strengthens. Fighting enlarges. But today, I'm going to show you something different. The way to silence the voice inside isn't to stop it. It's to give it a rhythm. Because chaos emerges when there's no rhythm. But when rhythm comes, chaos transforms into music. And this video will show exactly that transformation. Now I'm going to say something and you might be surprised. The voice in your head isn't the problem. The problem is that it's unstructured. Think for a moment. If the voice in your head operated in an organized, logical, constructive way, would it bother you? No. In fact, that voice would feed your creativity, your problem-solving ability, your dreams. But what actually happens? That voice is chaotic, scattered, jumping from one thing to another, stuck in the past, worrying about the future, never in the present. And this chaos is exhausting. Because the brain uses much more energy to work in chaos. That's why at the end of the day, your head is tired, not your body. That's why you feel exhausted without doing anything. So why is this happening? Because modern life has broken rhythm. From the moment you wake up, stimuli bombard you. Notifications, news, people, tasks, expectations. Your brain can't maintain a rhythm. Constantly in reactive mode. Constantly in fight or flight mode. And what happens at the end of the day? Silence comes. You put down the phone, you lie in bed. And then all that chaos explodes. Because everything you suppressed all day is now coming out. That's why silence bothers you. Because silence uncovers the chaos. But silence isn't the problem. The problem is the lack of rhythm that causes that chaos. And here comes the understanding that changes everything. The way to silence the voice inside isn't silence, it's rhythm. Rhythm means order. It means predictability. It means structure where the brain knows what's coming. Think of a baby. Why does a baby cry? Because there's chaos. But why does a baby calm down? When rhythm comes, the mother rocks, sings the same song, gives the same smell, and the baby relaxes. Because the brain learns, I'm safe here, I know what's coming. Your brain is the same. When in chaos, it's constantly in alarm mode. Because the question, what will happen, is unanswered. But when rhythm comes, the brain relaxes. Ah, I know. Now this will happen, then that will happen. And that predictability is what calms you. In neuroscience, this is called predictive processing. The brain is constantly trying to predict what will happen in the future. And when it can't predict, it produces stress. But when it can predict, it releases dopamine and relaxes. That's why routines are powerful. That's why habits work. That's why an organized life feels calmer than a chaotic life. Because rhythm calms the brain. But here's an important point. Rhythm doesn't mean rigidity. Rhythm means structure within freedom, like music. In music, there's rhythm but also creativity. That's how it should be in your life too. So how will you create this rhythm? Here's the first and perhaps most powerful rhythm: morning ritual. Most people live their mornings differently. One day they wake up early, one day late. One day they have breakfast, one day they skip it. One day exercise, one day phone, chaos. And the brain reacts to this chaos. Every morning it asks again, how should I start? And that question uses energy. But people with morning rituals are different. They do the same things every morning, they wake up at the same time, they move in the same order. Water, movement, breath, intention. And the brain learns this rhythm. Ah, I know. Now we'll drink water. Then we'll move. And that predictability reduces the noise in the head. Why? Because the brain is no longer making decisions about the morning. Decisions are tiring. Every decision uses energy. But rhythm automates decisions. And you save that energy for important things. Why did Steve Jobs always wear the same outfit? Because he didn't want to make the "what should I wear" decision. Why did Barack Obama always wear blue or gray suits? Same reason: decision fatigue. And you're doing the same thing with a morning ritual. You're not making the "how should I start today" decision, because the rhythm already knows. That's why people with morning rituals feel calmer, more focused, less chaotic, because the day starts with rhythm. The second powerful rhythm: work rhythm. Most people work like this. They open their computer and ask, what should I do? An email comes, they look at it. A message comes, they respond to it. A thought comes, they dive into it. Chaos. And what happens at the end of the day? The feeling of, I was so busy today, but I didn't do anything. Because there was no rhythm, only reactivity. But people with work rhythm are different. They divide work into blocks: 90 minutes deep focus, 15-minute break, another 90 minutes, 15-minute break. And the brain learns this rhythm. Because the brain can't focus indefinitely, but it can work rhythmically. When you say, we'll focus for 90 minutes, then break, the brain accepts this. It says, okay, I can go for this duration. But when you say, work for an indefinite period, the brain resists. Because the question, when will it end, creates stress. That's why the Pomodoro technique works. That's why time boxing is powerful. Because these give the brain rhythm. And when rhythm comes, the voice in your head also calms down. Because you're no longer asking, what should I do? When will it end? Is it enough? The rhythm is telling you. When I applied this in my own life, I saw an incredible difference. Before, while working, my mind was constantly jumping to things. I should do this too, I should check that too. But when I established rhythm, those voices decreased. Because now the brain knew. Now this block, only this task, 90 minutes, then break. And that clarity brought peace. The third rhythm, perhaps the most overlooked, evening closure ritual. How do most people spend their evenings? Scrolling on phone, watching TV, maybe some work, then bed. Chaos. And when they get into bed, what happens? Their head starts exploding. Because the day never closed. The brain loves open loops, unfinished tasks, unsaid words, unsolved problems. These all remain as open files in the brain. And at night, when silence comes, the brain opens those files. This still isn't solved. Don't forget this. You should do that. And you can't sleep, because the brain didn't close. But people with evening rituals are different. They close the day. They take out a notebook and write, what did I do today? What should I do tomorrow? What's on my mind? And this simple action relaxes the brain, because now the information is on paper. The brain doesn't have to hold it. The brain says, okay, it's written. I can relax now. This is the opposite of the Zeigarnik effect. The Zeigarnik effect says, unfinished tasks stay in your mind more than finished tasks, meaning the brain doesn't forget unfinished things. But with the closure ritual, you're sending the brain the message, okay, this is complete. We'll continue tomorrow. and the brain is released. I've been doing this for years. Every evening I write for 10 minutes. What happened today? What will happen tomorrow? What's on my mind? And those 10 minutes save my night's sleep. Because now when I lie in bed, the brain is quiet, because it closed. The fourth rhythm, a bigger perspective. Weekly review rhythm. How do most people live their weeks? Monday comes, they start the week. Friday comes, they end the week. But they never pause and ask, how did this week go? What did I learn? What do I need to change? And the result? Months pass, years pass, but nothing changes. Because there's no reflection, there's no rhythm. But people with weekly rhythm are different. Every weekend they set aside 30 minutes. And they ask, what worked this week? What didn't work? What will I change next week? And these simple questions transform life. Because now life is conscious. Not reactive, but proactive. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits. Small improvements lead to massive results over time. But to make improvements, you first need to do reviews. And weekly rhythm is exactly this. Every week, a little better. Every week, a little clearer. And when months pass, you become a different person. I do this on Sunday evenings. I sit down, open my notebook, and write. Sometimes I write beautiful things, sometimes difficult things. But always, clarity comes. Because rhythm creates clarity. The fifth and final rhythm, the simplest but perhaps the most powerful. Breath rhythm. When the voice in your head is loud, do you know the fastest way to calm down? Breath rhythm. Because breath is the only automatic system you can control. You can't directly control your heartbeat. You can't control digestion. But you can control breath. And when you control breath, you're controlling your nervous system. Fast, shallow breath, stress mode. Slow, deep breath, calm mode. It's that simple. But most people aren't even aware of their breath throughout the day. They take shallow breaths, chest breaths, stressed breaths. And the brain receives the signal, there's stress. And the voice in the head rises. But when you return to breath rhythm, everything changes. Here's a simple rhythm, 4-4-4-4 breath. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Breathe out for 4 seconds. Hold empty for 4 seconds. Repeat 5 times, and you'll feel what happens. Shoulders will drop, heart rate will slow, the voice in the head will quiet. Because the brain received the signal, we're safe. This is a technique used by Navy SEALs. They call it box breathing, to calm down in high-stress situations. Because it works, and you can use this anytime. Stressed in a meeting, 4-4-4-4. Argued with someone, 4-4-4-4. Mind confused, 4-4-4-4. Rhythm brings you back, from chaos to order, from panic to calm. Now let's go back to the beginning. Remember the paradox. The more you seek silence, the louder your mind becomes. Because silence isn't the goal. Rhythm is the goal. Silence creates emptiness. But emptiness can fill with chaos. But rhythm creates structure. And structure calms the brain. That's why meditation doesn't work for some people. Because they're forcing silence. They're saying, don't think, don't think, don't think. And the brain resists. But rhythm doesn't force. Rhythm guides. Here's the order, first this, then that. And the brain follows. Because rhythm is natural. Look at nature. Everything works with rhythm. The sun rises, sets. Months change, seasons turn. Your heart beats, you breathe. Rhythm is life itself. And when you move away from rhythm, you move away from nature. You enter chaos. But when you return to rhythm, you return to nature. You return to peace. Here's what most people misunderstand. Rhythm isn't restriction. Rhythm is freedom. Because when there's rhythm, your brain is no longer busy constantly asking, what should I do? The rhythm knows. And that energy goes to creativity, connection, joy. Think of a jazz musician. There's rhythm, but they play freely. Because rhythm provides foundation, and on that foundation, you can dance. Your life can be like this too. Rhythm is the foundation, and on that foundation, you can be free. Try tomorrow morning. Create a morning ritual, just 10 minutes, same order, and do it for a week, every day, the same. And you'll feel the difference. The voice in your head will slow down because now there's rhythm. Then add work blocks. Then evening closure. Then weekly review. Slowly, step by step. And before you know it, your life is filled with rhythm. And a life filled with rhythm means a calm life. Because the way to silence the voice inside isn't silence, it's rhythm. If this video made you feel something, don't forget to subscribe. Because what I share here isn't quick fixes. It's deep understanding, rhythm, biology, and real change. Your rhythm is waiting for you. Let's build it.